Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is a fun-filled, exciting, action-packed webinar. We're going to be talking about the online referral process. So we're going to talk about how we can give referrals online, record our one-to-ones, our thank you for closed business, basically all that weekly activity that we do. All of that can be recorded in BNI Connect. It can be recorded here. It can also be recorded in the BNI Connect mobile app, both of which will perform the same process. But today I'm going to concentrate on logging into BNI Connect and performing those operations. And there's a lot of benefits for doing so that I hope to get into with you as well. But before we jump right in, I do want to just do a couple of quick housekeeping things. Firstly, this is a live webinar. So if you're joining us today, please feel free to ask any questions you would like to. The way to do that is to please type your questions into the questions panel. I'll see them pop up on my screen and I'll answer them as we're going along. Or if it's something kind of completely unrelated, I am still happy to answer it. I will just answer that one at the end of the webinar. Now, we do try to keep these webinars to about a half hour for the content, and that's just because I know that you guys are dedicating a lot of time to learning about BNI Connect and all of these things, so I want to be very respectful of your time. Make sure you guys can get back to your businesses if you need to. That said, this is my full-time job. This is what I do all day, every day. I talk about BNI Connect. I answer questions about BNI Connect. So by all means, ask away, and I will stay here until every single last question has been answered. Now, if you happen to be listening to this in the future, it means that you found one of our recordings. We do record all of these webinars, and you are still welcome to ask questions. All you need to do is to submit those questions via a support ticket on the support site, support.bniconnect.com. Or you can go ahead and email us at support@bniconnect.com. So the website is support.bniconnect.com. You can email us at support@bniconnect.com. All right, so why don't we go ahead and get started. So let's take a quick look at this home page here, by the way. So the home page, when you log in, this is kind of where all of the action happens. And, oh, hold on a second. Patrick does have a question. Patrick says, I missed yesterday's meeting. How can I get the material or access to the recorded version? So Patrick, great question. The way to access all of those here in BNI Connect. So once you log into BNI Connect, you see this question mark in the right-hand corner, the upper right-hand corner here. Click that. That will take you to the BNI Connect Resource Center. Once you're on the Resource Center, there's a little box that says Live and Recorded Webinars. This will have our entire group of recordings. Now, I don't quite have this month's recordings up yet, but you can go into this recorded webinars for March, for example, and you can review the one from March. It's not going to be exactly the same because there's different people. We have different questions, different answers, things like that, but the content is, like 95% the same each time. Yesterday's actual webinar, I should have that up in this section probably a little bit later this week. I'm hoping, on Friday I'll have some time to upload these and get them up onto the support site and our YouTube channel. All right, does that answer your question there, Patrick? Awesome. So back to the home screen. So the home screen, this is kind of, this is our kind of our dashboard, if you will, for our membership. And the great thing about this is, you can log in and see your activity, for the last 12 months and for your lifetime. And, I can remember when I first became a member in 2002, all the way up, for the first 10 years of my membership, I had to beg my vice president, oh, please, can you please let us, see the stats and the POMS reports and all of that. It wasn't until BNI Connect that I could actually log in anytime I want to and see exactly what my revenue received, my referrals received, thank you for closed business, referrals given visitors, all of that stuff I could see right at my fingertips now, and you can log in and see this anytime. The one thing that I will say is that these numbers, by the way, so we're gonna walk through, submitting referrals and all that. These numbers don't change immediately. These numbers will only change after your weekly meeting and after your vice president has submitted officially the weekly POMS report. So please don't expect these numbers to change right away. They will change usually within a day or two, no more than a week, hopefully, after your actual meeting. All right, so that's these numbers up here. Down at the bottom is how we submit our slips. So we have our different options here. We can also track our referrals. We have our review reports. And we can also print our weekly slips. So why don't we take a look at how these things work now. As I mentioned, I am an actual member, so I want to switch off of this screen just for a second. I'm going to use one of my test members here. He's in my Antarctica Shiver region. This is Alfred E. Newman in my Burr chapter in Antarctica. So let's play with this one for a minute. And you'll see here that we have, it's the same exact home screen that everybody has. But we have our different slip types. So why don't we go ahead and let's say that we have a referral for somebody. That's usually the first thing that we'll do. Let's say we have a referral for somebody. Well, what we would do is click on Submit a Referral Slip. Now, if your chapter still has the paper slips lying around, you should see that this is really it looks the same as a regular referral slip for the most part. It has the same options on it that we would have. So we just choose somebody from our chapter. So let's say I'm Alfred E. Newman. I have a referral for John Travolta. And that referral is going to be John Smith. This is an outside referral. I told John Smith that John Travolta would give him a call. What is John Smith's address? 1 Smith Street in Smithville. Telephone number, email address, johnsmith@smithco.com.net. And we have any comments that we'd like to make about this. So I can, John really needs some assistance with his dancing and could use your lessons. Right? I can rate this on a scale of 1 to 5. Let's call this a 4 referral, and I can go ahead and submit this. Now, down at the bottom, I have a couple of options. I have Submit and New, which means that I want to submit this one and immediately start a new referral slip. So if you have multiple referrals at the time, or John Smith is looking to get introduced to multiple people in chapter, you could just keep submitting those one after the other. We have the regular submit button, which just means I'm going to turn this one in and go back to my home page. Or we can close this out and kind of throw everything away and start over again. I'm going to go ahead and just submit this. All right, so I've submitted that referral. It brings us back to our home page. As I mentioned, the referrals given number did not go up. It won't until after the weekly meeting. However, the one thing it does do is we submit our slips up here. Down at the bottom, we have our review. So the nice thing about using BNI Connect to do this, or using the mobile app, is that you can review the details of those. So if I was just using a piece of paper to turn the referral in, then I kind of turn that referral in and it kind of goes away, right? When I turn it in online, now I can go back and review those. So I can go click on Review My Referral Slips and click Go. And I can see this referral that I just turned in. I can see all the details of it. To John Travolta, the referral, whether it was a tier 1 or tier 2, they want them to call, the phone number, all of those details are there. It also shows our tracking sheet status and the POMS status. Keep in mind that the POMS status, it's showing us basically whether the VP has counted this one yet or not. So I can see that it's still in draft, which means that it has not been submitted by the VP yet. Once the VP has gone ahead and submitted the weekly POMS report, this will change to completed. Now, by the way, this is only showing the one referral because, unfortunately, Alfred hasn't passed many referrals this month. However, note that you can change these dates. It's only going to show you the last month or so by default. But, I mean, I could go back, 5 years or whatever if I want to and see all of the referrals that Alfred E. Newman has ever submitted, right? So I can go through any of these. We have a really lazy VP up in the in Antarctica that doesn't submit so many POMS reports, but you can see that he did submit one of them. That's the one that's completed here. Right, so the other thing that happens is when you submit an online referral, your referral partner will immediately get a email notification about that referral, right? So just as an example, here's a notification that I received recently. So somebody in my chapter passed me a referral. I could see that it came from Ken Neff. He's the Verizon cell phone guy in my chapter. You can see he referred me to Javier Lopez, and I can see his phone number here. And the nice thing about it down at the bottom is it also has all of Ken's contact information. So if I need to get back in touch with Ken and find out more about Javier, I could call Ken directly or click on the phone number from my, if I got this email on my phone, and start that phone call to start that process right away. Right, so we have other types of slips, of course, that we can follow here. We have the, thank you for closed business. So that's the other side of the transaction, right? So if somebody gives me a referral and that referral turns into money for my business, I want to make sure that I recognize the person that generated that money for my business. And we do that through the thank you for closed business slips. So if I click on submit a thank you for closed business, and let's say that it was Marky Mark had referred me to his mother, and his mother generated $432 to my business. This was a new business. This was an outside referral, and I can put any comments in here I want. So I could put Marky's mom utilized our services. And again, you can put as detailed information as you'd like to in here. Those comments will stay private, 100% private to you. When we turn in a thank you for closed business slip, that's turned in anonymously. So even though we're doing it electronically, it'll be put into the Palms report. Nobody else will know that it came from you. All that we know is that Marky Mark is being recognized for generating that business. Now, it has to be that way for legal reasons. You can still announce it. If you wanted to go to your meeting and announce, hey, thank you, Mark, for generating $432 for my business, you have the opportunity to do that, and that's at your discretion to do so. However, we can't do that publicly here within the application itself. But once again, I have the submit and new and the submit button. I can go ahead and click the submit button and it will submit this thank you for closed business. And now I can go, and of course that will go immediately into my thank you for closed business slips. Right, and by default it's going to show me the last 6 months, but as with the referrals, I can change that to any date range I would like to. Oh, it's taking a second to pull up the results here, but here we go. We have Marky Mark, $432, and we have all the comments and all of the other information about that thank you for closed business. All right, the other types of slips that we have here is we have, for example, the one-to-one slips. So we can submit the one-to-one slips. Now, you'll see that there's along with a drop-down box here, there is another button here that says Search Cross Chapter. This Search Cross Chapter button allows you to look for other people within your region. So right now that is limited to the other people that are in your general area. And that's something that we're hoping to open up to a nationwide search a little bit later this year. However, right now it is limited to the people that are in your area. But if I did a one-to-one with somebody else in the region, I could go ahead and search for them. Now, here's the deal. You only have to put a couple of characters in. And one little kind of trick that I use when I'm doing this is you don't always, especially with people that have names that might be very similar, or they might use a nickname. Sometimes you may want to make sure that, if you don't find them the first time, that you were using, the correct name. And one thing I do to minimize that is like Stephen in the region, I don't know whether it's Steven or whether it's Steve. And if I put Steve in, it's not going to find all of this STEPHENs, it's only going to find the Steves. So one thing you can do, though, is you can back that off, and I could just put in STE, and that would find all of the Steve or Stevens that are in the area. So you can find, for example, Mike Jones and Jamie Jones, but you do have to have at least 2 characters in any of those fields. And once you select that other person, that person will now appear as the person that you met with. Now you can do that with referrals. You can also do that for thank you for closed business. So, so it's available for each of the different types of slips. Right, I can choose the, who initiated that meeting. I could also put in the location. So let's say that we met at Starbucks. And I can type in the topics of conversation, which will allow me to recall what we talked about later. So I could put, we talked about me, and the date. So you can backdate this if you forgot to do it or something like that. Just know that even if I was to backdate this a month ago, it's still going to go for credit in this week's activity. But we just met yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And of course, that means that it will appear immediately in my one-to-one slips report. So I can review those. And I can see that the details are now here. If you made a mistake on any of your slips, by the way, there is a button at the top, Edit, Delete Slips, that will allow you to go in and edit or delete any of the unsubmitted slips. So once they are submitted by your VP, they now become read only. All right, and of course we have the CEUs. Now, by the way, just to show you something here, show you what I mean, if you're using the app, it's really doing the same thing. So, for example, let me just pull this over. If you've downloaded the app already, it's going to be the BNI Connect mobile app. Now, this is going to show you your live data. You'll see that it looks very much like the home screen in BNI Connect. It doesn't quite have all the functionality of BNI Connect, but it does allow you to do certain things like, for example, pass your slips. So if I was to, for example, put in a CEU slip, which I recommend putting a CEU slip in for today's activity, we did something worth 1 credit. So, we can put in that we had a, 1 credit here for today's program, and then I can go ahead and submit that. Right, so now if I submit that, it will immediately go into BNI Connect. So if I go in and review my CEU slips, we can see that just now, 5/10/17, I submitted a slip. It's still in draft mode, of course, for 1 credit here. So everything that happens in the app is happening in BNI Connect. And even if you put all your referrals in, you may not be able to review them in the mobile app right now. So you can only see the last month or so of your activity. So on the feed here, I can see the last month or so, but if you want to see more details, you can always log into BNI Connect in order to see your entire history of everything that you've passed. All right, so some other things with the slips that you can do is you can review any received referrals. So as people give you referrals, you'll get the notification, but you'll also get the received referrals report. So now I can go in here and I can see all the referrals that I've received, all the details about them, phone numbers and email addresses to get in touch with people. All of these are here in the received referrals report. The other thing you can do is you can track your referrals. So if you've been to your member success program, one of the things that they review is a spreadsheet that you can use to basically go in and follow along with the progress of that referral that you received. You can do the same thing here in BNI Connect. I can go to track my referrals received, and this will show me. I can go in and do a search for a certain time period, and let's say, and this will show me all of the referrals that I received. So, for example, I received a referral to Javier Lopez. I think I showed you that one before in the email. And I still have the status as new. What I really want to do is go in and edit this and make sure that I put this in as a closed referral. As a matter of fact, Javier turned into a part of our team, as was referred to us for. So I can even put in when I contacted them. I know I contacted him on the 10th. I can, track along with when I followed up with him and when we met. So if you have thank you for closed business for this that you'd like to track, you can do that here. If you want it to be recognized in the PALMS report, you also need to submit an actual slip for that. And you can annotate whether this is a spin-off, in other words, whether it's a referral from a referral. Now, when I submit that, the cool thing about that is if Ken goes to his referral given report, so for example, in my referrals given report, you'll see that there's the tracking sheet status. So this referral that I gave to Ken, if he would go into BNI Connect and mark it as closed, I would see that status change in my referrals given, just like he will see his status change in his referrals given report. So what's nice about the referral tracking is it becomes a two-way communication with your referral partner. All right, and finally what we have here is the print your weekly slips. And what this allows you to do is to go in and print the activities so that you can turn in those slips at the meeting. You can use them, a lot of people like to use them because they help to impress the visitors. And of course, with referrals, you want those slips to be able to use for your door prize. So this is back on my personal account. So the only thing I have here is I have a one-to-one and I have the CEUs. Let me pop back over to Alfred E. Newman's account here. And Alfred E. Newman, if I was going to print his weekly slips, I would see the referral. Now you'll notice that the referral slip, if I go to print this out, the referral slip is going to be about the same shape and size as a regular referral, which makes it legal and valid tender for the door prize. It also means that it has enough information on it that the vice president can use it for a referral reality check. The rest of the information here is really just written in a list format so that I can announce it at the meeting. All right, so the final thing that I want to show you here on the home screen is you will see that there is a link up here. It says My Personal Participation Report. If you're ever wondering where these numbers come from, you can always check your personal participation report. And what this does is this gives you a week-by-week breakdown of what was submitted in the PALMS report. So this is going to show you a year's worth of activity. And you can see exactly what your attendance is and all of the different activity that you had on a week-by-week basis. It'll also show you a summary of your attendance, number of members you've sponsored, and any training that you may have attended during that time period. All right, so we are just about at the bottom of the hour. What I would like to do is I'd like to open this up for any questions. If you have any questions whatsoever, I'd love it if you would ask those questions now, and I will be happy to answer those questions. Just a reminder, this is being recorded, so you're welcome to share these recordings or you're welcome to share these webinars with other members of your chapter or other people that you know that might need a little assistance with the process. Now, this is part of a series of webinars. So yesterday we went through the how to fill out your profile. Today we talked about the slips. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the social media side of BNI Connect and really the, how do I reach out and connect with other members around the world? How do I, give people testimonials? What is this connections thing all about? And how about the groups and how can we talk to other people? All right, so Dot says, how do you correct errors on old slips? So if it's a really old slip, you're not going to be able to correct those errors. The only slips that you'll be able to correct, so for example on mine, if I look at any of these reports, anything that is completed, so all these you'll see are completed, 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 I can't do anything about those ones. I can no longer correct those. However, anything that's in draft I can still update. So for example, let's say that I really wanted this to be a BNI webinar, not SuccessNet. I can go up to the top, and on all of these forms there is an edit, delete slips. So I have the CEUs here. I can click on edit and I can change this to 0 for there, and I can put the 1 in here instead and resubmit that slip. Now, if it's a referral, the new person will get the referral notification. You do have to kind of let the other person know manually that you took the referral away from them. You may want to have a phone call there. But you can edit them as long as they haven't been submitted. If they have been submitted, then there is still a way to do it, but it involves your vice president. They would have to unlock the POMS report in order for you to make those corrections. All right, Dot, does that answer your question there? And I think Erica had a question. Erica says, I believe you just answered the question. Was that regarding under what category do we place the credit? So again, in BNI Connect, you have that option to choose a BNI webinar. So just about the CEU slips, there's no possible way we could list every single type of training on this tiny little slip, right? So the spirit of the CEUs is that it's based on the number of hours that you invested in learning or participating in these activities. So if the training that you took was a MSP 3.0 or something like that, and it's not on here, but the training lasted 2 hours, just choose something with a 2-hour credit. If it was 3 hours, choose something with a 3-hour credit. If it was 7 hours, give yourself 7 1-hour credits. Whatever it is, it's about a little bit about recognition and when it comes to putting them in the CEU slip. So hopefully that helps you. And the same thing, the reason why it's 5 podcasts is because 5 podcasts are about 10 to 12 minutes apiece. That's about an hour. So, Alicia says, but it took 4 a month ago, never totaled 5. This is the 5th. Actually, this one would count as a credit on its own. So I would put in a credit for today on its own, and then put another one in once you get the 5th podcast in there. Andrea says, as ED Growth and Chapter Development Director, I'm not a member in a chapter, but am a member in Antarctica. Can I submit referrals to members in my region? So Andrea, unfortunately, no. The issue right now is that we are limited only to our own region where you're a member. So although you're a director in California, you're a member in Antarctica, so you can only participate with the other people in Antarctica. I'm very sorry about that. We are looking at a way to maybe lift that barrier in the future, or develop a way for directors to be able to participate. But at this time, you are limited only to the testing in the Antarctica region. So sorry about that, Andrea. Erica says, regarding thank you for closed business, what if you know someone closed business from your referral, but they've not given you credit for it? Is there a way you can do it for them? Unfortunately, you cannot do it for them. What you can do, however, is to have a conversation with them. My recommendation is sit down, talk with them. Part of this whole referral team process and the accountability is to make sure we're thanking our referral sources. So it's just a conversation. Hey, buddy, can you please submit that thank you for closed business for that referral I gave you? So that's part of keeping each other in the loop, and it may involve some follow-up. If they're really still not participating, have a discussion with your membership committee, but nobody's going to be able to submit it for them. The vice president could put it in manually. Of course, that's always an option, but there's no way you can do it for them. Only have a conversation with them. Does that help, Erica? All right. Do we have any other questions? Any other questions at all? I love questions. The only silly question is the unasked question. All right, just a reminder, a good referral for me. If you find these webinars helpful, if you like this format, I really would love it if you would recommend these webinars to other people in your chapter, other people in your region, or as the educational director, if you could recommend them to your whole region, that would be absolutely awesome. So in the meantime, I'm just going to say thank you guys so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Happy connecting.